thing. Not begging to get hit by a foul ball.
Aren't asteroids the way that the mastodons went out? Weren't they prevalent and then an asteroid came?
What do we got to bring in, a
dinosaurs?
7th grade science teacher? Do we have to do that now?
Well, it's been a long time for me since 7th grade, but I thought the mastodons went out that way. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, a big win for Duke, 2 losses for the Knicks, and a hat trick for Alex Ovechkin. But we begin today with a couple of NBA teams that had grown old and saggy in recent years and are now red hot, the Lakers and Warriors. The Lakers added Luka Doncic, the Warriors added Jimmy Butler, and the cars are going faster now. Over the weekend, the Lakers beat the Nuggets by 23 points in Denver. The Warriors jumped on the Kings by 24 on Friday, and then the Mavericks by 24 yesterday. So, Wilbon, which team are you taking more seriously after this weekend?
Well, Tony, certainly both of them. I mean, I think if I had to go with the most impressive single victory, it would be the Lakers on Saturday night in Denver.
Yeah.
Denver won 9 straight games, so there's no way to sort of diminish that. But if we're doing this by feel and just by watching, as you and I have, a lot of basketball over the last 50 to 60 years, I'm looking at Golden State, and I'm mindful of what Draymond Green said. And Draymond is not all that predictive. He might say some things you can object to, but the last time he did something like this and said, we're going to win a championship, was 2022, and the Warriors did that. But that's not even why. It's Jimmy Butler and the difference that he makes in that lineup, the difference he makes in Steph Curry. I'm not a big body language guy, but Steph Curry seems to play now with so much energy, and he has said that. And it's just the way he's going about it and the things that he can do now, the space that he has to operate because Jimmy Butler's out there. Jimmy Butler going to the foul line in a way nobody has in years and years and years on that jump shooting team. There's just so many things defensively. You know, Jimmy Butler's been one of my favorite players for a long time. And part of it was the way he was not timid. He had the nerve to take on LeBron when both are in their primes defensively saying, I got him. And when you have that, you have something to deal with in April, May, and maybe June. So I look at the Warriors, and I'm sort of in love with them.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with the points you're making about basketball, but I'm going to go in a different direction. As you know, I don't think the Lakers can win the championship. I don't. But I want to watch them. I want to watch LeBron and Luka, who are megastars. Not like Anthony Edwards, not like all your friends in Phoenix, who are stars, but they're not mega, they're not on this level. And as I've told you for a while now, I believe that Turner and ESPN should televise nationally every single game the Lakers have for the rest of the season. And I believe those ratings would eclipse anything else in sports in that period of time. I happen to agree with you that the Warriors have a better chance to win than the Lakers do. I mean, the Warriors, Jimmy Butler is getting in the foul line 8-9 times a game, which they didn't have before. They're 5-1 since he was there. How do I feel about that? Well, he forced his way off a team, and I don't really want to sit and condone that, but he's been a great addition for that team, whereas the Lakers are a small team at this point. And I would like, and you and I have talked about this, I would like to see more reporting on why that trade with Mark Williams did not go through. I'd like to know what the Lakers know. Yeah. But I'll just end by saying this, Mike. It's easy to root for the Warriors and for the Lakers. And I know you're on the record as saying that Memphis and Oklahoma City are going to meet in the Western Conference Final. I would much rather watch the Lakers and the Warriors after all this time because they have people on their team who are historically significant.
Tony, here. And keep in mind, Golden State is going to get Kuminga back. They get Jonathan Kuminga back, who may be, I don't know, their third best two-way player. But now he drops the slide. He doesn't have to do as much because Jimmy Butler and Draymond do that primarily. They're going to get, they stand the chance of getting better. And I might be backing off that Memphis part of that prediction anyway.
Really?
We had 2 high-profile men's college basketball games at Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena, this weekend. On Saturday night, Cooper Flagg and Duke blew out Illinois by 43. And on Sunday, St. John's beat UConn for the second time this season, sweeping the Huskies for the first time in 25 years. Tone, the bigger result was which?
Okay, so it's a really nice win for Duke. It's really nice. I was happy to see Illinois had been ranked for most of the season. I was happy to see an interconference game at a neutral arena this late in the season. I honestly think it took courage to schedule that because that's a departure from what you are looking at for the next 2 or 3 weeks. But Mike, I have personal experience in New York City when St. John's is really good. When St. John's is really good, people care about St. John's just the same as they care about the Knicks when the Knicks are really good. When they're playing in the Garden, the noise for St. John's when they're really good is just the same as the noise for the Knicks. St. John's is the college basketball team in New York City for 3,000 years. UConn's in a neighboring state, and Seton Hall, Rutgers are in a neighboring state. They don't hold a candle to St. John's, and the Brooklyn Nets may as well not even exist. This is, when you put those two teams together with Rick Pitino and Danny Hurley, you have 4 national championships. That's a big deal. For St. John's, as you say, to do for the first time in 25 years, beating UConn home and away, that is a big deal.
Yeah, there's no question. And I got a horse in the other race. Because even though everybody who's been the head coach of Duke in the last 100 years is from Chicago, I tend to root for Illinois, who I've seen play twice in person this season. They were ranked when Northwestern beat them, and I was courtside. So I didn't get this, but then I was told later, illness, virus, something had been going through the team. But Tony, I have to now allow that Duke is better than I thought. And I didn't think Duke was I thought Duke is okay, really, really good, but I'm not willing to accept great until we get to March. Maybe I have to accept it. But St. John's, UConn. I mean, I covered the Big East for a lot of years. You and I sat shoulder to shoulder in Madison Square Garden and watched those two schools, watched those teams. My God, Pitino wasn't the coach then, Louis Carnesecca was, and Hurley wasn't the coach then, but that matchup is so great and powerful.
This is right.
And Tony, I can't wait to see St. John's now. Let's go straight to March. I want to see what Pitino's got for March.
Mike, I don't know how good St. John's is. They had good three-point shooting the other night, but they're not a good three-point shooting team.
Yeah.
They're under 30%, and that's got to kill Pitino because he basically invented the three-point shot at Providence, and then he had Kentucky do it all the time. But he walked in, this is his second year. He walked in last year, he took the team they gave him. He didn't like it, and he said so.
I know.
And he changed it. He changed it. We have talked about this a lot. There are things that Rick Pitino does off the court that raises our eyebrows. But on the court, it's a masterclass. Genius. And he's a Long Island boy, and it means something in New York if they're good. We move now to hockey. And Alex Ovechkin, who you can see over my shoulder, scoring a hat trick last night as the Washington Capitals pounded the Edmonton Oilers 7-3. Ovechkin now has 882 goals and needs 13 to beat Wayne Gretzky's all-time goal-scoring record. Wilbon, what is the word for Ovechkin's hat trick?
I'm going to go cross-sport. I'm going to go straight age here and say LeBron-ish. I mean, that's what it is. Those guys are essentially the same age, and you just marvel at the way they're able to play at this stage of their careers. And so I was watching that game in the beginning yesterday, and the first Ovechkin goal was not a classic Ovechkin goal on the left side in the circle between the hashes. A slap shot. It wasn't that, but he got one of those, and I turned off. And I was stunned that Edmonton would pull the goaltender down 6-3, and Ovechkin winds up getting a cheap beat, but that's fine because he's earned whatever he gets at this point by being in another decade and forcing the play like this. Tony, it seems like even though he's missed a lot of games this year due to that tibula fracture or whatever it was.
Broken leg.
He's got a real solid shot because March is his most productive month historically anyway. He's got a real shot at breaking Gretzky right now, this year.
Oh, he's gonna get it. I've been saying this all year. He's going to get this year. Look, my word is momentum. The big Mo, which the Great Eight has right now. He is now 7th in the league in goal scoring with 29, even though he missed 16 games with a broken leg. Mike, if you look at Gretzky, who's the greatest player of all time, if you look at Gretzky from age 32 to when he retired, and I want to get the number right, in that period of time, he scored 145 goals.
Well, Gretzky was spent.
Alex Ovechkin in the same period of time has 324 goals, Mike. 324 goals. I mean, come on. I think he will break the record this year, and I hope that the owner of the Capitals brings in Gretzky in the last 2 or 3 or 4 games, whatever it takes, to be there for every single game. That there was a feeling this year that the Capitals would go out of their way to facilitate Ovechkin breaking this record. And so there was a fear that it wouldn't be good for the team. There was a fear they wouldn't pay attention to the regular season. That's nonsense. They have more points than any team in the league. He's scoring goals, and they're winning games. So it's just worked out fabulously for Ovechkin. And as you say, I don't care how many empty net goals he gets. He's scoring for .895. And by the way, he had the game winner yesterday, which tied him for the most all-time game-winning goals with Jaromir Jagr at 145. Let's take a break. Coming up, should their last 2 losses undercut our ability to take the Knicks seriously?
Tournament in A-Rod's bank shot.
Mike,
bang!
The Capitals have come out of the break. They beat Pittsburgh and Edmonton by a total of 15-6.
Yeah.
15-6.
I feel, but the other teams had people in the Big Four or whatever that was, and the Capitals didn't. You know?
How far deep are these things buried? Here we go. Is it time to stop taking the Knicks seriously?
Well, you can't start taking them seriously. Not after the last 2 losses, Tone. They got beat by seemingly 50. I know it wasn't quite that many in Cleveland, and then, at the other Garden in Boston, and those are the teams. And they're 0-7 now against Cleveland, Boston, and OKC. And those are the teams. And look, a lot of teams lose to those 3. But the Knicks, we thought, the trade for Karl Anthony Towns was supposed to help them. Jalen Brunson coming off an amazing playoffs last year. And then the problem, sadly to say, is those 2 are each in the bottom 5 at their position defensively in the league. And that just doesn't cut it. So it's hard to take the Knicks seriously with all that negativity going on.
Yeah, let's just look at them realistically for a second. They are 26-6 against teams with losing records, 11-14 against teams with winning records. Even with Tibbs, who you love as a defensive guy,
I do.
They are ranked 29th out of 30 teams against the top 10 teams. And as you say, what is the path to a title? The path to a title has to include Boston, Cleveland, and Oklahoma City if you're the Knicks. Has
like
to.
it.
0-7, as you say.
Yeah.
0-3 against Boston with the margin of defeat 63 points. 0-2 against Cleveland, the margin of defeat 43. 0-2 against Oklahoma City, the margin of defeat 35. So how are they supposed to win? So that, let's stop this. They cannot win this way. Those teams they have to beat, they're not close to, Mike.
Yeah, it's not like somebody else is going to take out all 3 of those. I mean, man, it's kind of surprising, though, because they had a certain grit last year in the playoffs. They did, even with everybody hurt. And now with more people healthy, not everybody, Mitchell Robinson,
they're not as good.
They don't have that grit. I don't get it. I don't understand it.
Most improbable moment from the weekend. Juan Soto and Alex Bregman both homering in their first spring training games with their new teams. Brian Campbell getting a bounce out of the trees and winning the Mexico Open, or A-Rod hitting a half-court shot to win a Bucknell student $10,000.
Okay, 2 dudes going to the Hall of Fame hitting a home run is nothing. Not even worth a headline. It's a caption. A bounce out of the trees. You and I get bounces out of the trees every week. We did, Tony. It wasn't some wind-up crazy thing. It wasn't like some mascot over the back shoulder. He shot it. Shows you how great an athlete A-Rod is. And it might say to the NBA owners who have to vote on his candidacy to own the Minnesota Timberwolves, we might want to let him in because none of the rest of us can do that.
I'm glad that you brought that up because it was a great shot. And if I was the Bucknell kid, I would turn down the $10,000 and I would ask for 2 points with the Timberwolves after he buys the team. Just give me 2 points worth of that
Even
team.
1 point.
I'm gonna go with the golf. I agree with you on the baseball. I'm gonna go with the golf because I watched the golf. I'm gonna tell you exactly what happened. It's the second hole in a playoff. They each par the hole the first time, second hole, and this kid gets up and he hits it so far right. It's just in the trees. It's OB, Mike. He's going to lose the tournament. And it gets thrown back onto the course, which is simply unbelievable. He hits the next shot to about 100 yards. It's a par 5. And with 100 to go, he sticks a wedge to 3 feet 8 inches. Okay, and then and I'm watching this. I cannot believe it because he's supposed to lose. He's supposed to be OB. He hits the putt and his life changes, Mike. 186 starts on the PGA Tour and the Korn Ferry Tour, and he had never won. And now he's in the Masters, and now he's in the Players, and now he's in the PGA,
he hit a tree.
and now he's in the elevated
Because he hit a tree.
events. Yes.
How's it go when you hit a tree? How's it go when I hit a tree? I'm happy to be back in the fairway, but, you know.